Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's edition of Horse's Mouth Live. My name is Ellen Rogin, and as always, I have great information to help you in every part of your life, especially your business. And today we have a guest who has such deep expertise in so many different areas, and we're going to focus on personal branding. How do you set yourself apart? What is your brand? Have you thought about this? And so let me introduce you to Jane Sommers-Kelly. And Jane has this unbelievable background. We've connected several times, and I was saying until I saw her formal resume, I didn't realize how truly incredible her background is. She is an ex-Wall Streeter, turned into a business consultant. She was with JP Morgan Corporate Finance for quite a while, got her MBA at INSEAD, which is in France, and was then country head for Bankers Trust in their Czech and Slovak business units in Prague. She lived in France for a while. I love this, that she said they had to move because her sons were getting too French. So she wanted to bring them to the United States. And so then she's worked at Duke. She does now a lot of consulting and coaching. So really, really deep expertise, a lot in financial services, knows our industry well. So Jane, welcome. I'm so excited to have you with us here today.
Thank you, Ellen.
Yeah, so let's dig in. When you say personal brand, like what does that actually mean?
Mm-hmm. It doesn't mean business brand, because everybody spends a lot of time on their business brand. Financial advisors, it could be helping you achieve your goals in life, or redefining retirement. No, personal brand actually means who you are inside. And there's checks to consider when you are thinking about your personal brand. The first is internal, uh, who who I am, what I care about, my priorities and beliefs, my why, as Simon Sinek says. So that's the beginning and the core of personal brand. The flip side, because there's two sides to personal brand, the flip side is how I show up, how I communicate and interact, what others feel when they finish talking to me. So the first is what you bring to the table, and the second is how you act on it. When I asked the heavy question to one financial advisor of, could you please think about your personal brand and tell me what it is? He thought and came back, Ellen, with, Jane, what gets me up in the morning is actually helping others, as well as seeing the impact. So the inside as well as the impact on them.
Do you ever see that people are inconsistent or incongruent with like what they're feeling on the inside, why they're doing this and how they're showing up to their clients or in their business?
Sure. And I'm sure even you and I are guilty of that. Um, and one way to think about it is, how do I act when I'm around my family and friends, as opposed to when I'm in front of a client or in the office with my team? And so that incongruence probably exists in the majority of the people we know. It's not easy bringing your inner self to the table.
Why would it matter for our clients? Why would our clients care if they're coming for us for financial advice or investment recommendations? Why would they care about any of that?
Bingo. Um, one financial advisor told me, Jane, I didn't talk about my personal brand for 5 years because I didn't think it mattered. And I thought it was selfish to talk about me when I'm supposed to be here serving them. And the reason it matters to clients is because they are choosing to work with you not only for your credibility and your business brand and your smarts, but also because they trust you. So trust is the key word. And let me cite a Harvard professor, Professor Fry. She and her team have done a lot of research on trust. And there's 3 aspects they found that create trust in you from others. ALE is how I remember it. Authenticity, logic, meaning how you think, your reasoning, and E for empathy. And I'm going to assume, Ellen, we're not going to talk about the logic and the reasoning and the empathy. Different topic. Authenticity is the key element of trust that I want us to hone in on and you all to take away today. Because your true self, your clients can sense it when you're bringing your true self, and you want to work with people that want to work with you. It could be a 15, 20-year relationship. So there's a benefit to bringing your true self. Yeah, so I think clients care because they're choosing you, the person, under the business brand.
You know, it's interesting. A lot of advisors on their websites will have things like, I'm a trusted advisor, or we have trust and integrity, which, first of all, they all say that, like, of course you should have that. So sometimes I tease a little bit, like, is that really differentiate yourself? But I think more importantly is I don't know that many advisors do work or look inside it, how they are actually having their clients feel that trust and integrity. Maybe they know that they're trustworthy or that they act out of integrity, and that's a big value for them. But so what I'm hearing you say is that part of getting clear on your personal brand is being more clear for yourself and how you articulate it with potential clients about your authenticity, about your why, and that's really why it's all tied into building trust. Am I understanding that right, Jane?
Yes, yes. I think trust is a frequently used word. And one way to think about it is if I'm bringing myself to the table and they sense that they know who I am and what drives why I'm doing this, then their ears will open and they will go there with you because you all are discussing serious stuff with them. So yes, I think that's a fair summary.
So how do you start to really know and define your personal brand? What are some of the process if someone hasn't spent time on this before to start to get clear for yourself, and then how you articulate that to clients and prospects?
Mm. It's not easy because you have to actually stop and think. And personal brand is a big word. Maybe we say your personal story. And with some leaders, what's most helpful is when I have them visually draw the river of their life, starting at childhood on up to where and who you are today. And it's not a resume. So the process, I would suggest 2 steps in the process. The first is identify, let's say 5 life moments or trends or aha moments that, this is important, that led you to be the way you are today. So for me, it was, we moved every 3 years, so I was the new kid in school every 3 years. Now, what's important about these 5 trends is that you translate that into, so what? How did that make me the person I am today? And that meant that I had to read the people in the room in order to survive. And for that reason, I realized that I actually, rather than finance, I actually enjoy the people side of business. So one of my 5 trends has led me to be a leadership consultant and coach. Another financial advisor, when they went through this process and thought through the kind of events in their life that have led them to be who they are today, they came back and said, you know, my grandmother had a huge influence on my family because she was one of the first women in her state, Oklahoma, to get a college degree, much less 2 master's degrees. That translated into my mother and her husband and all of us valuing education and learning. And therefore, part of my personal story is I want to keep learning. And that's what I'm doing with you, because each client is different. So that's the first step, is to step back and think through what has made me the person I am today. And that's unique right there. You know, that's, and it's not all polish and positives. The second is to then choose, let's say, 3 of those and make short stories, particularly focusing on the therefore I value this, I care about this. One leader shared the divorce of my parents and the resulting financial insecurity had a big impact on me and led me to search for and value financial stability. And eventually I said, that's the career I want. And that's why bringing financial clarity to clients is so fulfilling for me, because I think it's a core element to happiness. So she linked the past with why this job is her why. So 1, events, and then 2 is reducing into short stories, because 30 seconds, 60 seconds, we're not going to share our whole life with our clients. No, it's just your personal story does have relevance to them. And so practicing it helps. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah. And what I love about that is a couple things. One, my guess is sharing that with a client, they'll always remember that. They'll remember your why. And the fact that you're saying, like, practice this, distill it down so it's 30 seconds or 60 seconds, because I think we've all been listening to someone's story that goes on too long. And as an advisor, especially in those initial meetings, it's really about the person across the table from you. So not your 30-minute story about how your parents got divorced and you were blah, blah. But so I'm loving that. And what I'm, just to be clear, so as you're going through this river of your life and you're looking at these events and you distill it down into 2 or 3 stories, the idea is that these are things you're sharing with clients or prospects. Is that, and have you seen people share them in other ways, like on their website or in blogs or other things that they do, Jane?
Yes and yes. I have seen others share it in their websites and blogs. I'm not recommending that for this group of financial advisors. There is a lot of research and articles on how by sharing your story, it creates strength within, even going public on it. Maybe because it's not in my personal story or brand, I'm not into sharing it publicly on websites. What I would simply recommend is first internalizing it, and then second, in short sound bites, particularly when the so what links to the client's issue. I care about this, I focus on this because, so you can lead in with the segue from their need to your story. One financial advisor said, I probably would only do this with clients, existing clients, to build and deepen the relationship and maybe get referrals. And yet most compelling was the financial advisor who said, I now do it in the first phone call because it's a mutual selection process. And I need them to know who I am. It's not selfish. So linking it to what they've shared with you reduces the sense of I'm talking about myself, and it's more, here's why what I do has impact and relates to what you just said.
I appreciate the way that you've distinguished it because it's first the internal part, because I would suspect that that exercise of going through and figuring out your why, your what drives you, what got you to this point, even if it doesn't get shared, which I see the benefits of sharing it, but even if it didn't, what I love is that it gives you a why that's other than to make a lot of money, which I think the industry has a problem where they're focusing all the goal setting that's done is about net new assets under management or first year premiums or whatever it is, whatever your revenue model is. And there's very little talk about how it benefits the other person. You know, what's in it for them? Because I know for most people that yes, that one of the benefits of being as a financial advisor is that there is great income potential, and most people aren't totally motivated by that. That's not the only thing that motivates them. What really drives people to reach their goals, I found, is when you can incorporate how someone else is being served by this. So the fact you distinguish them between the internal part, which it affects your mindset, it affects your confidence level, and then how you share it. I think they're both really important.
I think you've hit on the elephant in the room, which is the perception of financial advisors being motivated and compensated by the percentage of the total assets under management. And yet, all of the ones I know, and you know a lot more than I do, are motivated by other aspects. 3 of the ones I talked to said, I encourage them to bring me other non-asset under management issues. One of them, he said, linked to my desire to keep learning. So somebody came to me and asked whether they should pay cash for a car or lease it. And she knew that was not under his service offerings. Another offers a formal consulting relationship on financial matters that aren't related to assets under management. So I think, yes, at a minimum, know your internal purpose. I think also articulating it only helps build and expands the relationship, build the relationship and expand the relationship.
Okay, so I want to give you an opportunity if there's other things besides this arc or this river of our life experience to have us get grounded in our personal brand, that maybe with this next question that can be weaved in as well if there's something I didn't ask about there. But like besides sharing these 30-second, 60-second stories, what's a way to weave this in with clients or use this in a way to help win new business? Because ultimately we're in business to serve people, and you need to have a business to be able to do that, to serve new clients, but then also to retain clients.
Mm-hmm. What I recommend is it will be different for each of you, not the 30 and 60-second story, but how you leverage it. One, because each of you might want different types of clients and might have different service offerings. The way to put it into action and see the results is, I recommend 3 steps, and I recommend the first one in the next week. I recommend you actually jot down the 5 aha moments or impacts, trends in your life, and translate them into a 30-second story. And I recommend you try one of them with one client in the following week. So the week of January, whatever week you're watching this. Because only by trying will you read the response on the other side. And if you believe that trust is key to both winning and retaining, then bringing yourself more to the table is a part of that process. So try it, and after you hang up Zoom, ask yourself, how did that feel internally? And what did I observe about them? And for some of you, it will lead into a short conversation. For some of you, that will be it and move on to the next point. But keep learning, observe. The second part is as equally important as you trying it. Ask a business friend, will you be my accountability partner? Because I am trying to implement this personal brand awareness or personal story. Will you ask me every week how many clients I shared it with and what was the learnings or outcome? Because all of us are kind of results orientated, so let's see what the outcome is. And only when somebody else asks you are you actually going to think, uh-oh, I better do it because Joe's going to ask me. For those of you that have existing clients that you trust and have personal conversations with, I would ask 2 of them, what are 3 words you would use to describe me? I'm going through New Year's reflections, play with me here, doesn't have to be positive. What would you, and everyone that's done that has learned, not because there were big ahas, but because the wording and the angle was a little different than they had thought. So it's like, okay, interesting that that's what sticks with them. And that gave them food to keep on trying this sharing of the personal story. So to answer your question of how to win and retain clients, it's experiment. Try it. Because we all know that we are enough. We are what the clients are buying. So, okay, let's try to bring a little bit more of that in a relevant way to them. And let's learn from it.
Okay, so what I love is we started this conversation talking about ways to build trust is through authenticity. And we know Brene Brown has done all sorts of speaking on this about vulnerability and authenticity. What I appreciate about the way that you've shared this, Jane, is it gives a way to do that without you like spilling everything. When my parents divorced, I was in something that's not helpful for the other person and maybe not appropriate, to give a way to share who you really are. So I love that distinction. And I also appreciate when you're saying 3 words that someone would use to describe you. One of the things that I've led workshops on through Horse's Mouth and was part of the Extraordinary Advisor program was helping to find your superpower, which is, I would say, a concentric circle to what we're talking about today. Mm-hmm. And the idea of those 3 words is sometimes what we're really unique at, really good at, is our superpower. It's transparent to us because it's so about who we are. We don't realize everybody doesn't do that. So when people say 3 words, it can help highlight some of those things that you don't even realize. You're like, I thought everybody was a really good listener or was calming or whatever those things are that someone brings back to you. And I also could think it would be revealing if there are things, this hasn't personally happened to me, but I imagine it could happen, that someone brings up 3 things that really aren't things that you necessarily want to be known for. It could be enlightening that way too.
Bingo. Bingo. And while we tend to jump to the criticism of ourselves first, don't look for what they didn't say. Instead, sit and play with what they did say. And then say, is there a part of me, because we keep evolving in our career, is there a part of me I want to bring more to the table? Not necessarily a linear, I want them to say I'm brilliant, or I want them to say X, but more, I've come to know myself better. I'd like to have this impact as well on people. Maybe I'm not giving time to that, or not giving pause for that. Because as you know, Ellen, when we're intentional about the work we want to do, which means the impact we want to have, which means what we want clients to think of, the more we think that through and experiment, I think the more fulfilling it is.
Beautiful. So I will commit to doing my 5 moments in life. I've heard a different but similar exercise through a thought leaders program that I'm in, which I couldn't think of. The example the guy gave was something from when he was 5. And I was like, how do you even remember that? Like, I couldn't even relate to his example. But as you were talking, I'm sure I can come up with 5 things that have happened to me that have made an impact on who I am, whether they were good things or things that were a challenge for me. So I'll commit to doing that, and I'll commit to sharing it with people in the next week and then the following week. So thank you for that.
And guess what? When you come up with the 5, it'll be a whiteboard. Jot down 10. But most important is the so what question after the thing. Therefore, I care about, or therefore I am. And so that's the circle beneath each of them. And then sit back and say, okay, here are the ones I want to select and be even more of.
Great. Thank you. Thank you for that. So, Jane, you have such a wealth of information. I know in other conversations we've had, we've talked about totally different topics. I mean, your ability to coach leaders and business owners, it runs so deep. If people want to find out more about you, where should they go? And I also know you have I think a special handout for our listeners, watchers today, viewers, not watchers.
Yes, I wanted to offer it for those who are sparked to go further on this. I thought what would be useful, and so it's a one pager that sparks a different angle of thinking on it, and a way to, because I'm a numbers person, a way to quantify it just to help us. So reach out to me by email if you would like that. Defining your purpose, big question, big word, but thinking through your authenticity, and I'm happy to send it to you. And my website is JSK Leadership. If somebody wanted a free 30-minute consultation about how do I do this, or how do I get my team to do more of it. But most important, Ellen, is I love what you and Horse's Mouth are doing. It's just bringing in these strong, powerful 30-minute bing, new ideas and thinking as all of us try to become better and enjoy our lives more.
Well, thank you so much for being here and sharing this information. And for those of you out there, I would take Jane up on that offer. She has the most brilliant questions. Our first conversation, we got connected by an advisor that we both know. And the question she asked me, I was like, oh my gosh, I need to write these down so that when I'm first meeting somebody, I can ask them similar kinds of questions. She's brilliant. I know it will be helpful for you. And wow, a one pager to figure out our purpose. That's amazing. That's worth billions of dollars, right? For all of us out there trying to get really clear on that. Thank you, Jane. And thank you for sharing your information today. Grateful for you.
Thank you, Ellen.
And for all of you watching and listening, I'm grateful for you as well. We're so thrilled to have you as part of our Horse's Mouth community and part of our audience here. If you have suggestions for future shows, send me an email at ellenrogin.com. You can find out more about me at ellenrogin.com. And I have a special report for you. If you go to ellenrogin.com/horse's mouth, there's a special report on what clients crave. And there's also some really other helpful resources on mindfulness and things that can help you grow your business. And so until next time, my question to you is, how big of a positive impact are you willing to make? And remember, be great and create great every single day. Thank you.